Ash has really grown a lot as a trainer throughout his journey. He went from oversleeping and nearly missing his chance to become a Pokemon trainer at all to winning over 50 badges over the course of his journey. Now, notice, I didn't use the word earn because there are a few badge wins that are a bit sus. And I'm not talking about the battles Ash lost. I'm talking about the wins that probably should have been losses, or at the very least, no contests. And it doesn't take very long for his first badge win to become questionable. The first gym leader Ash ever faces is, you know him, you love him, our boy Brock. His attitude was a bit different at the beginning of the series though. The first time we see Brock, he's just sitting cross-legged in the dark for some reason. Like, if Ash hadn't shown up to challenge him, what if he had just stayed in the dark like this all day? Kinda strange. He's also pretty brutally honest.
The Pikachu again. I feel sorry for it, being raised by such a weak Pokemon trainer.
Before the match even starts, he nearly crushes Ash's ankles with the rocky battlefield. This has lawsuit written all over it. Anyway, Ash has a horrible time with the type disadvantage and loses easily. Brock's deadbeat father helps juice Pikachu up, and Ash tries again. After that last display, Brock has a massive ego. He has the type advantage, and Ash got completely destroyed the first time around. This time, Ash manages to knock out Geodude, but doesn't have enough juice to take down Onix. Brock, knowing the result of the battle, lets his guard down and spares Pikachu.
There's no point in going on. I really don't want to hurt your Pokemon.
Pikachu's earlier attack damaged the gym and started a fire, causing the sprinklers to suddenly go off and soak Onix. Ash sees his opportunity and totally cheap shots him with an electric attack. I have no idea how water suddenly makes electric type moves work on ground types. The show follows the rules whenever it feels like it, okay? Ash is actually about to keep attacking when Brock's siblings intervene and beg him to stop. Brock is willing to continue the battle, but Ash realizes that winning this way would be cowardly. So Ash forfeits. He decides he'll come back and win the honorable way, but Brock gives him the badge anyway, because refusing to take advantage of the situation showed sportsmanship and earned Brock's respect. And I think that's fair. Ash absolutely earned Brock's respect. But did he win the Boulder Badge? No. If we actually had a referee judging this, I think the battle should have been declared a no contest. The sprinklers were convenient outside interference, and without them, Ash did not have what it took to defeat Onix and win the Boulder Badge from Brock. Think about it this way. If a steel beam suddenly fell on a fighter's head during a boxing match, would the other boxer win? No, the fight would be called off. Same thing here. Verdict. Not earned. Outside interference completely changed the outcome of the battle. The next badge I find questionable is the Cascade Badge. On the way to Cerulean City, Misty doesn't seem too keen on going there, but Ash wants that gym battle. So he goes to challenge the gym while Brock takes care of stuff.
What stuff?
Just stuff. See you later.
Bye.
Once Ash gets to the gym, there's a lot less Pokemon battling than there should be. Instead, we're treated to synchronized swimming. The reason is that these three swimmers are actually the gym leaders, and they got beaten so badly by the challengers from Pallet Town that the only Pokemon they have left is this poor old Goldeen.
Goldeen.
So, unable to have a proper battle, they decide to simply hand over the badge to Ash, which Misty takes offense to. It turns out she's the fourth gym leader of the Cerulean Gym, and the reason she was so reluctant to come here is because these three are her sisters, and they're kind of savage.
Well, he's totally not someone I'd choose for a boyfriend, but you're no prize yourself.
My boyfriend?
So Misty takes the place of her sisters. With Pikachu, it seems like this should be an easy win for Ash, but Pikachu doesn't want to battle against Misty. Little traitor. Instead, Ash uses Butterfree, the GOAT. Butterfree does well, but Misty and her Staryu manage to hold their own. Ash switches to Pidgeotto while Misty sends out Starmie. Pidgeotto lands a powerful attack that sends Starmie crashing into the wall. Ash seems to have the advantage when Team Rocket decides to interrupt the battle. But we all know how that ends. After the commotion, Misty's sisters decide Ash deserves to get the badge. Misty isn't too happy with this decision, but they conclude Ash most likely would have won, especially if he used Pikachu. Which, not gonna lie, probably right. However, that did not happen. We have to judge what actually happened, not what probably would have happened. Ash didn't use Pikachu, so Misty still had a chance. A battle isn't over until it's over. We've seen enough comebacks in Pokemon to know that. And you never know when you're going to get a crit or miss Heat Wave 5 times in a row, and then of course your opponent's Rock Slide makes you flinch like 3 turns in a row, which only has like a 30% chance of... So, the conclusion is basically the same as what would have happened if the sisters had just given Ash the badge for free in the first place. A distinction without a difference. Ash never won the Cascade Badge fair and square, even though he most likely would have beaten Misty. Verdict: not earned. Probably isn't a victory condition. Our next badge is the Rainbow Badge. While in Celadon City, Brock and Misty get distracted by a perfume shop. Stay with me, I promise perfume is relevant to how Ash gets the badge. Ash is anti-perfume, as all 10-year-olds seem to be, which offends the shop manager. As it turns out, he ruffled the wrong Jimmy, because that store manager is the gym leader of the Celadon gym, and Ash is denied entry. Meanwhile, Team Rocket breaks into the gym to steal the secret formula they use to make perfume. Again, this is totally relevant and matters more to Ash getting the badge than the actual battle. Well, they don't get very far and get kicked out with Ash. Ash and Team Rocket come to an understanding and help each other get into the gym by making Ash cross-dress. Man, now that I think about it, early Pokemon had a lot of cross-dressing. Well, the infiltration is going smoothly until Pikachu rats Ash out. Ash challenges Erica and she accepts. Meanwhile, Team Rocket steals the secret formula. The gym battle begins with Bulbasaur versus Tangela. Tangela uses Sunspore on Bulbasaur, which is confusing because Erica, of all people, should know grass Pokemon are immune to it, but sometimes the show throws the rules out the window. So Ash calls it back because it actually worked. Charmander hard counters Weepinbell, but Charmander can't handle Erica's next Pokemon, Gloom, who overwhelms Charmander with the power of stinkiness. It is at this moment in time that Team Rocket reveals they have stolen the formula and strategically blows themselves up, which sets fire to the gym. As everyone does their best to put out the fire, Erica realizes Gloom is missing. Ash courageously enters the burning gym to save Gloom. After returning to safety, Erica awards Ash the Rainbow Badge as an expression of gratitude. By now, you're probably noticing a pattern. Ash's questionably earned badges all have battles where something interferes in some way, stops the battle, but has Ash win the badge anyway. There's usually some quality that makes Ash worthy of receiving it. In this episode, it's empathy.
Your battle skills are impressive, Ash, but there's one thing you don't have: empathy with your Pokémon. Without it, you'll never become a great Pokémon trainer like me.
Erica wants Ash to understand that Pokémon deserve compassion, regardless of how they smell. And when Ash risks his life to save Gloom, he proves he learned that lesson. That's great. But this is a gym battle. Ash earned Erica's respect, not the Rainbow Badge. This is essentially a sport where gym leaders are handing out medals because they approve of someone's character rather than because they actually won the battle. I would have preferred if he learned this lesson during the battle instead of outside of it. Verdict: not earned. Ash absolutely demonstrated empathy and courage, but neither of those finished the gym battle. Oh, and by the way, don't worry. What Team Rocket stole wasn't the secret formula. It was the essence of Gloom. Maybe next time, guys. Our next badge is the Marsh Badge. Before Ash even makes it to the gym, he's being creepily stalked by Sabrina with her psychic powers. She chose the best time, too, because Ash and Misty are roasting each other.
Your sense of direction's so bad, you can't find yourself in a mirror. You crack mirrors!
Ash eventually finds his way to the gym, which looks more like a Zelda dungeon than a Pokemon gym. Once the battle begins, Ash and Pikachu are completely overwhelmed by Sabrina's psychic powers. Her Kadabra throws Pikachu around like a ping pong ball, and Ash forfeits. She shrinks them down to doll size so they can play in her dollhouse, and by play, I mean she nearly murders them. Sabrina's father rescues them and tells Ash the only way to beat her is with a ghost-type Pokemon. So Ash goes on a side quest to Lavender Town, and Haunter decides to follow him by the end of it. This episode is absolutely crazy, by the way. Ash has a near-death experience when a chandelier falls on him, which turns him into a ghost, but that's a discussion for another video. We find out the reason Sabrina behaves so strangely is because of her obsession with developing her psychic powers. But part of her is lonely and wants friends, which we see personified through the doll she carries around.
If I change you back, you'll just run away from me. You have to stay as dolls. We'll play together all the time and we'll all be friends forever.
Haunter decides to be completely unreliable and doesn't show when Ash needs it. So Ash sticks with Pikachu. When the next battle begins, Pikachu puts up a better fight, but the battle gets interrupted by Haunter. It starts being a goofball and making silly faces, which causes Sabrina to erupt into a fit of laughter. This allows her to rediscover the human part of her heart, and Ash is declared the winner, because Sabrina can't stop laughing. I think this is arguably the worst gym conclusion in the entire series. At least the other gyms had some sort of lesson that helped shape Ash's character, and he was awarded the badge because of whatever quality he demonstrated. Here, Ash doesn't learn sportsmanship, he doesn't learn empathy, he doesn't really do anything. Haunter acts goofy and he wins. I do appreciate that Sabrina and her family get the happy ending they deserve. It's a satisfying conclusion to their story. It's just not a satisfying ending to the gym battle. Verdict, not earned. Making your opponent laugh is many things, but it isn't a victory condition in Pokemon. The next badge is a pretty important one. The Earth Badge was Ash's 8th badge and the last one he needed to qualify for the Pokemon League. Ash and the gang travel to Viridian City, and on their way to the gym, Gary shows up to flex his 10 badges. More than he needs to qualify for the Pokemon League. Yet, he decides to challenge the Viridian gym anyway. Ash is stuck waiting while Gary takes on the big cheese himself, Giovanni, leader of Team Rocket. Gary actually has Giovanni on the back foot for most of the battle, until Giovanni reveals his ace up his sleeve, Mewtwo. Giovanni taunts Gary into attacking with multiple Pokemon at once, just to prove Mewtwo's superiority. At this point, there was no Pokemon stronger than Mewtwo, which results in Gary's defeat. After the battle, some emergency demands Giovanni's attention, so he leaves Jesse, James, and Meowth in charge of the gym. I find this decision highly questionable, but if Giovanni thinks promoting Team Rocket's 3 most incompetent members to gym leaders is good for business, who am I to argue? So Ash battles the trio instead of Giovanni, and what ensues is extremely chaotic entertainment. Ash steps onto the trainer platform, which is rigged to shock him whenever his Pokemon are hurt. But the geniuses rigged their own platform too, so now everyone is getting electrocuted. The Pokemon Giovanni left behind are pretty powerful, but at this point in the series, Ash is a genuinely competent trainer who can go toe-to-toe with some tough opponents. His team of Bulbasaur, Pidgeotto, and Squirtle performs well. So well, in fact, that Team Rocket decides that whatever rules were left have officially gone out the window, and throws even more Pokemon into the battle. Pikachu protects Ash, Togepi sends Team Rocket blasting off, and Ash obtains the Earth Badge. Now, with all of what I just described a fun Pokemon episode, absolutely. But Ash got off really lucky here. Giovanni and Mewtwo would have practically been impossible for Ash to beat at this point in the series. And although Jesse, James, and Meowth had stronger Pokemon than they usually do, beating Team Rocket is basically just Tuesday for Ash. Ash deserved the chance to prove he could beat Giovanni. Instead, we ended up battling the same villains he's been blasting off all season. At the very least, Ash should have battled someone competent enough to properly replace Giovanni instead of the villains of the week, who are literally always the villains of the week. Verdict, not earned. Ash earned the opportunity to challenge Giovanni. He just never got to. This next badge is probably the simplest to explain. Ash goes to challenge the Mobile City Gym for the Dynamo Badge. Ash and the gang are treated to Watson's rather unconventional welcome, a roller coaster ride. It's Watson's way of greeting challengers, and I'm pretty sure he's the only one who's enjoying it. During the ride, a Raikou suddenly appears, except it's actually just a machine. It begins attacking, so Pikachu retaliates with Iron Tail. Without anyone realizing it, Pikachu absorbs a massive amount of electricity, resulting in an enormous power boost. So much so that despite Watson using an entire team of electric types, Pikachu proceeds to knock them all out with electric attacks. One hit each, despite electric types resisting electric attacks. Ash eventually realizes Pikachu is far stronger than he had any right to be, and tries to give the badge back. Watson is so dejected after the loss, he actually considers retiring as a gym leader. Ash tries to make things right, but Team Rocket interrupts everything by stealing a bunch of Pokémon. Pikachu saves the day, and seeing Ash and Pikachu work together inspires Watson to keep the gym running. He decides Ash can keep the badge after all. I disagree with Watson, and I don't think this one needs much explanation. Pikachu wasn't battling as the Pokémon Ash had trained. He was battling after being supercharged with what is essentially electric steroids, just moments before the gym battle. Verdict: not earned. Pikachu needs to lay off the juice. Before I finish, there are a few badges I considered including, but ultimately decided didn't belong in this video. First is the Glacier Badge. Ash battles the gym leader Price, and after a battle so close it seems either side can take it, Price decides his Piloswine had had enough and forfeits the match. I've heard some fans argue Ash didn't earn this badge because of the forfeit, but I disagree. Price made the decision based on the condition of his Pokemon and felt it was best to not push it any further. As far as I'm concerned, Ash earned this badge. The next is the Cobble Badge. Ash and Maylene go neck and neck in this battle. It all comes down to her Lucario versus Ash's Buizel. Ash gets a bit lucky when it starts to rain, as Buizel has the ability Swift Swim, which lets it move faster in the rain. Battle ends in a draw when the two clash and knock each other out. Some people argue Ash never actually beat Maylene, and technically, they're right. However, the episode clarifies, in the event of a draw, whether the challenger earns the badge is entirely up to the gym leader.
Since the battle ended up a tie, what happens to the badge?
That decision depends on the judgment of the gym leader.
And Maylene clearly believes Ash proved himself worthy. As far as I'm concerned, Ash earned this one too. The next one is one of my favorites, the Toxic Badge. Roxy of the Verbank Gym is one tough customer. She's strong and she knows it, which is why when Ash challenges her, she allows him to use all 6 of his Pokemon while she only uses 3.
But if I've got 6 Pokemon and you've got 3, I'd have an unfair advantage. I'll use 3 Pokemon too.
Don't worry about me. It's my gym and my rules.
This gives Ash a massive advantage. And if that wasn't enough, she even throws a Pecha Berry to Ash's Pignite to cure its poisoning so the battle doesn't become too easy for her. And despite all these advantages, she still brings Ash down to his last Pokemon, essentially almost beating him twice. Do you need any more proof of her strength? If this had been a normal 3-on-3 battle, I honestly don't think Ash wins. At least not on his first attempt. I seriously considered giving this badge its own segment, but Ash actually asked for a normal 3-on-3 battle. It was Roxy who insisted on the handicap. Since she chose the conditions herself, I don't think it's fair to hold them against Ash. So despite how close the battle was, I think Ash earned the Toxic Badge. So while I understand some fans may question these badges, I think Ash ultimately earned every one of them. Now, I hope this video hasn't come off as overly negative. I actually think these moments are part of what makes the Pokemon anime so charming. As I'm sure you've noticed, the vast majority of these badges come from Kanto, very early in the show's life. As the series moves beyond the Indigo League, I think this problem largely disappears. Even though the purpose of this video was to nitpick whether these badges were properly awarded to Ash, I still wanted to highlight the positives surrounding each battle. Some taught Ash valuable lessons that helped shape him into the trainer he'd eventually become, while others were incredibly entertaining to watch. I also did my best to be fair. That's why I included a section on the badges I considered but ultimately decided Ash had earned. I know some of you will probably disagree with a few of these verdicts, and that's completely fine. And just so we're clear, Ash earned the vast majority of the badges throughout the series. He eventually became an incredibly competent trainer, winning the Alola League before ultimately becoming the world champion. A handful of questionable badges, most of them early in his journey, don't take anything away from everything he's accomplished later. Also, let's be honest, this is mostly the writer's fault. If you disagree with any of my verdicts, I'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts. Were there any badges you think Ash actually earned, or any that I completely missed? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like. If you'd like to see more Pokemon videos like this, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.